Good evening, everybody. This is Jonathan Wilner from Harrington Limo, and welcome to my Tuesday night Facebook Live, where I introduce some BNI members. But nonetheless, I want to tell you a little bit about me and our company. So my name is Jonathan Wilner. I'm a third-generation owner of Harrington Limousine Service. And our motto is that we provide ground transportation anywhere, anytime, but providing peace of mind. With that being said, during this pandemic, people are very concerned about travel, and a lot of people are not traveling anymore. And for those of you that are traveling, I just want to put that peace of mind in place of what we do. One of the things is that not only are vehicles cleaned on the outside, they are clean and disinfected on the inside. We have barriers between our chauffeurs and our clients who travel. So essentially, once the vehicle is disinfected on the inside and we shut the doors, nobody gets into the back of the vehicle except for you, the traveler. The next thing is our chauffeurs are trained on how to clean and disinfect the rear passenger compartment after each trip in the event that there's another trip that they're going to use that vehicle for. In addition to that, our chauffeurs have their temperature taken every morning when they come in. They wear a mask and gloves, and they change those gloves and mask in between each trip. So to ensure that there's nothing for you to worry about in their handling. Lastly, to remind yourself that we provide quality service. So our chauffeurs are trained. They're familiar with the routes. Not only do they use GPS, but they're also familiar with the area and so forth, so that they can provide you a good experience. So from the time you hang up the telephone to the time you get out of the car, it's going to be a good experience. And we're going to put your mind at ease by doing so many different things, and I'll touch on them real quick. You get an email confirmation after you book a car with us. You will get another email confirmation 24 hours prior to your trip. You'll get a text message alert when the chauffeur is on his way. You'll get another one when he's on location. And if we're picking you up at the airport, in addition to that, of us checking obviously the flight arrival time and so forth, you'll also get a personal message from the chauffeur letting you know that he's on location and waiting and ready for you. So there's a lot of follow-up that we do, and a lot of emails, a lot of text messages, but we want to make sure that you feel comfortable and know that we'll be there for you. Enough about me. We have a very special guest this evening. We have Mr. Lawrence Santini from Santini Law, and I'd like to bring him on. And he's also a fellow BNI member. Good evening, Lawrence, or Larry.
Hi, Jonathan.
Thanks for coming on board and being one of my, interviewees. So I thank you very much for coming on. And I'd like to give you the mic for a moment and just tell us a little bit about you so people know who you are, where you came from.
Jonathan, first off, I want to thank you for having me on tonight. I've been watching for the past several weeks, and I just want to say thank you for reaching out. To tell you a little bit about myself, as I have a law practice in the city of Elizabeth. My roots go back to the city of Elizabeth. I was born here, born in Elizabeth, and I grew up in Watchung. And I went to Lafayette College and Columbus Crew Law School. That was back in 2005. And then started my practice in April 1st, 2008, and have not looked back since. So,
well, tell me something. What made you want to open up your own practice? I mean, that's a lot of work. It's so much easier to go in and punch a clock or whatever, work for somebody else. What made you decide and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to open up my own practice?
So, long story short, I had my very good friend tell me on the same day, this was a couple months before I started, let's say in January, on the same day, my family tells me I should open up my own practice, and my friend tells me I should open up my own practice. And I said, I have nothing to lose here. And I started my own practice. And I started small, and it's just one of those things, which is I care. I love doing what I do each and every day.
Wow, that's pretty cool. It takes a lot of courage, and hopefully obviously you had a lot of support behind you to open up your own practice, because it's not easy for people to just wake up one morning and say, "Oh, you know what? This is what I'm going to do." I can't imagine starting from scratch today. So it's probably very difficult.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you just start with it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort. It's just I have the practice down to a point where I know where I like what I do, and I keep it to those points. And it's right now I'm handling between residential and commercial real estate transactions, landlord-tenant matters, both of commercial and residential nature, leases, the preparation of, and the lease negotiation, commercial litigation, and I handle some criminal, nothing too heavy lifting, but that's my practice. So I have it down to those main areas.
Wow. I don't know how you do it. I still, I'd be hesitant. For those of you who are just joining us right now, I'm Jonathan Wilner, and with me this evening is Lawrence Sateni from Lawrence Sateni Law, who is located in Elizabeth, New Jersey. He's also a good member of BNI, and I just wanted to bring him on board and talk to him a little bit about the things that we do here. Um, so, tell me tell me a little bit about how things have changed, the type of business that you're doing now during the pandemic. You know, I'm sure that something's got to be different than it was 6 months ago or 7 months ago.
So let's talk. It's a great question. So right now, I've seen a surge, and it's a two-part answer. Is you have landlord-tenant matters are just it's just exploding, and between the landlords and what is happening in the state with the stay on evictions, I have landlords that are I have landlords that are just, how should I say, calling each and every day. Um, Two, with real estate, it's everyone's moving from New York, Jersey City, Hoboken, to the suburbs. And real estate is very, very hot right now. And people are moving out to the suburbs. And uh, so since COVID started, those two matters have been astronomically off the charts. And between commercial transactions, uh, people buying commercial property, which is a little bit more complex than residential real estate, but nevertheless, the residential real estate is terrific. I cannot complain. So
Wow,
that's how those two matters changed.
that's interesting. So, residential is booming as far as the buying and selling. Is it better
Yep.
to be a buyer or a seller today in the residential?
Well, that depends. That depends, Jonathan. The sellers that when you have people coming out from the city to here, it's all for the taking. I believe it benefits both sides. People that are living in 800 square foot apartments in the city, and they're saying, "Why do I need to be here? Why don't I move out to the suburbs?" Because uh, you can get more you could get more a bigger lot, more acreage versus for the 800 square foot you're paying, let's call it $2,500 to $3,000 a month. You can move out to the suburbs, put that into a mortgage and pay a 30-year mortgage, and you're living on an acre property out in let's not acre, but out in Clark or out in that area. So it's to get back to your question, COVID has affected that. So you see more of a limited market.
So let me follow up. I got a question here
Sure.
from a person who is leasing a commercial office. They have a 5-year lease.
Hmm.
They're 1 year into their lease, uh, and because of COVID, all the employees are working from home. It's not a big office, so they're working from home right now, and they really don't need the office because they would entertain, clients coming in, and now they've found another way to do this by, doing it over Zoom or things of this nature over the telephone. They're finding another way. They're meeting in public and social distancing and so forth. So, well, yeah, I mean, that's really, they're 6 feet, they're yelling from one car to another or something, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So now they're looking to try and get out of that lease. What kind of advice would you be able to provide somebody, or is it more detailed based on the lease contract?
So when you deal with a commercial lease versus a residential lease, commercial leases are governed by contract law. Okay, there's no landlord-tenant anti-eviction statute that stands behind that residential tenant. So first off, you have to look at the lease itself, and that would dictate the terms for that tenant. And that's not that tenant, commercial tenant that you're talking about. That is the norm. They want to get out of their lease. They might be behind on rent. What do? The first option is I would always tell them, try to renegotiate the lease with the landlord. Okay, landlord-tenant courts have stopped for the time being on a very limited nature, where they're looking at courts being opened up probably in November, and with this, and I'm sorry to get off topic just a tick. With the CDC, they said that there will not be any landlord-tenant matters until the end of probably January 2021. So with that person with the 5-year lease, I would try to renegotiate that with the landlord. Number two, you can look for provisions within that lease, potentially, and I want to hang your hat on it, called the force majeure clause. I'm probably saying it wrong, but that's one provision where if there's an act of God, if there's a natural disaster, something of that nature, maybe a pandemic. Again, it depends on how that lease is written. You could hang your head on that and bring that to the landlord. Landlords want to keep tenants, especially commercial tenancies. They want to keep their tenants there. Why? Commercial tenants are at a premium. A lot of people are going belly up. Just look at malls. If you look at malls, they're going by the wayside. You have Lord and Taylor out there that declared bankruptcy. A lot of these places cannot pay their monthly rent. And with that being said, it's just one of those things where you should sit down with the landlord to see if you can renegotiate the lease. I believe that's the best policy right now, because as in all cases, commercial litigation is costly, and it costs both sides, both tenants and landlords.
So would you advise somebody with this lease to spend the time and sit down with you to talk to you and show you their lease? And is this something that you would be able to do and negotiate on their behalf, or?
Well, with commercial tenancies, I'm always more than willing to listen, and I'm more than willing to sit down with that person for a consultation, more than willing to talk to them about the lease itself, perhaps a new lease, perhaps to give them an opinion as to what should take place in the near future with the landlord and to provide options. So yes.
So cool. So the good recommendation would go to somebody like you with this kind of problem.
Before they talk to a landlord, if they want to know the lay of the land, yes, they should come talk to me under any circumstance.
That's good. Good to know. So we're going to share that. Once again, everybody, thank you for joining us. In case you're just joining us right now, my name is Jonathan Wilner with Harrington Limousine Service, and to my, I don't know, you to my right or to my left, but if you're looking at
depends.
All depends on how you're looking at the screen.
Sure.
So
Sure.
you're to my left, but really, maybe you're to my right.
Right.
But you're on the left side of the screen. But nonetheless, to my left is Lawrence Satani from Satani Law, and he's a real estate attorney by as his primary, but he handles so much more. So I have a couple more questions.
Ask
of
away.
mine. So, what are your thoughts on keeping up with your daily routine and how that is helping your business? I mean, when we say daily routine, things are not the norm. Your routine in the morning is probably a little bit different today than it was, let's say, in January, pre-COVID. So you're doing things different in your daily routine. So tell me about that.
Jonathan, I have not changed my routine at all. I'm at that office at 6:30 in the morning, like clockwork, and except for nights like this, I'm usually at the office till 6:30. And so I work right through. Saturdays, I'm also there, probably from 8 to 3, and it just hasn't changed. It's one of those things where people need you, especially landlord-tenant matters in real estate, and I try to provide that service of getting back to the people as soon as possible. So it has not changed at all. Zero.
Do you do a lot of mediation now because the courts are closed?
Mediation is always preferred. Why? It saves people money. Okay, and if I could help someone save money, whether it's at the start or whether it's at the if I'm brought in at the middle, mediation is cost effective as long as you know what the legal issues are. So for commercial landlord tenant or even residential landlord tenant, even litigation, it's cost effective, especially when you have an adversary that wants to enter into mediation. Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to settlement. 90% of cases, whether it's by motion or by motion is where you ask the court for some type of relief to go a certain direction, or to conclude a case, or by mediation, 90% of all cases get resolved, and the other 10% see the inside of a courtroom. Used to be the inside of a courtroom, but so I always suggest mediation.
Well, that's good. Good,
Yeah.
good to know. Um, so, real quick, I mean, what are your? Do you have any needs in the office? Are you looking for any employees, or because you said business is booming for you in the commercial real estate and residential real estate,
Sure.
predominantly. So, do you? I mean, because business has really picked up, as I understand it, are you looking for more employees? Any support staff, anything like that? Is there anything that you're looking for that you don't have right now?
Right now, we are good to go. We have been good to go. It is maybe in the near future, but right now we're fine. We don't want to get. I always like to think long term, but right now we're at a point where staff is good. Um, Maybe next 5-6 months is something to be looking at for additional help.
Wow, cool. So my next thing is that you're in BNI and you're kind of successful, or at least it appears that you're
Well, I
successful.
appreciate that, Jonathan, for you even saying that. I thank you.
Um, how has BNI changed? Anything for you? I mean, tell me a little bit about your experience in BNI and why you joined, how you joined, and then why. What was the deciding point?
So BNI overall, and I'm not getting paid for this. It is. I should have known about BNI when I first started my practice, because I was referred. I was told to come to this meeting. I go to the meeting. I have no idea what to expect. I go. I drink the Kool-Aid, and ever since then, it's just been business has been terrific. I get many referrals from BNI, both inside the chapter and outside the chapter. And it's the relationships that I have made in the group with current members, past members from years ago. They are clients. I find it to be it's an honor when someone calls me up and says, "Can you represent me in this matter?" I find that to be an honor. And when they refer me to their friends, and when they refer me to their family, and when they refer me to other business partners that they have, it is, I find it to be that proverbial feather in my cap. And the business, it's real estate, that's my focus in the group. But it has led to other matters. And I love giving referrals when I have them to people in the group, because that's who I think of when it comes to those referrals. And that's I guess that's the beauty of it. It's the giver's gain mentality, and I've taken it to heart.
So who invited you? Actually, I didn't hear that.
So the person that made the decision for me is a former member, and he sold me on it, and we have been very good friends since. And he told me, if you could get on the ground floor of this group and you could take that spot, you're gold. So I took his advice, and here I am talking with you.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell me about what would be. I mean, we talked about this in the beginning, and we said landlord tenant matters and
Sure.
so forth, and we know that that's a good referral for you. Um, who are the professions that you would like to see sitting across from you, metaphorically speaking, in a BNI meeting that you feel that would be able to provide you more referrals?
So the optimal the optimal person I would be looking for is commercial realtor. That commercial realtor. That commercial realtor could do a number of things. One, to provide landlord tenant people that are property managers. They could provide them to me. That would be a great link. Number two, another reason why a commercial realtor would be terrific is leases. I can negotiate leases. Three, real estate. There's only so much land that this world has, and there's only so much land that this state has, and it's at a premium. For me to get that listing of that 10-unit commercial building, that mixed use that's in Elizabeth, if it's in Somerville, if it's in Newark, that 30-unit property in Newark, that's what I'm looking for, and that's where the commercial realtor can help me. Number two, a surveyor. A surveyor would be terrific to have in the group. Those were the two spots that I would be looking for, and maybe an architect. That's number three on the list. So those three people I would love to have.
So, is anybody listening out there? Does anybody know any of these professions that are looking for a commercial realtor, a surveyor, and an architect? So I know that there are plenty of them out here on Facebook. Anybody hear me? Hello. Okay. Well, hopefully somebody. You know what? This is the beauty of social media. Somebody knows somebody who knows somebody. So we're bound to get somebody to respond,
John,
right?
at the end of the day, that commercial realtor would be a home run, and it would be a great connection, even if that person uh, didn't come to the group. It would be uh, it would be just a great connecting, great to connect.
Real quick,
Sure.
question just came up here. If you represent both tenants and landlords, uh, how's that?
So, so let me answer that. I typically 95% of the time only represent landlords. You'd be surprised to find out that within a day, I'll have a tenant call me up and a landlord call me up, and it's from the same property. That's what we call in ethics a conflict. And that's why I just try to side with the landlords, make things very easy. So it's only landlords.
Okay. And what did I want to say? I wanted to reach out to everybody. So first and foremost, so like I said before, going back to what we were talking about, that we're looking for these three professions.
Sure.
And I know that these three professions are listening right now. And if you're not, they're out there. Somebody knows somebody. So let's get them out there. I want them to come and join us and see what the rest of the members, like Larry, like myself, are like in a BNI setting. And we invite you to come and meet with both of us on a Tuesday morning at 7:00 in the morning. We do a virtual meeting via Zoom. And then obviously once this is all over, we meet in person again. We'll be at the APA Hotel by Metro Park. And we still meet at 7:00 in the morning.
We do.
And we're there. There's a lot of great members that you can meet up with and connect with. And Larry and I are both standing there waiting for you to show up so that we can introduce you and not only help you expand on your business, but to grow exponentially, we do a lot of farming. We grow great relationships through everybody. I think we all have good relationships with just about everybody in our group, in our chapter. So we'd like them to come and visit with us. And if you want to reach Larry, let's see, his information was about to pop up on the screen, I think, with his contact information. Larry, why don't you tell us real quick your phone number, how to reach you?
Sure. So my telephone number is 908-351-0028, and there it is at the bottom.
There you go.
Yeah. And then my email is listed at the bottom. It's lmc@centanilaw.com. You can call me. I can be reached on the telephone. I also have my cell number, 908-327-2127. More than happy for a consultation. More than happy to sit down with you via Zoom, telephone, and I also have Saturday by appointment.
Excellent. Do you get a lot of Saturday appointments? I mean, do you do that?
Jonathan, it is people work. There are people that work every day and they don't have time during the week. They work long hours. They have families to feed. They have errands to do. And the only time you're going to call a lawyer is when it's really something bad, or perhaps you're buying a house.
Yeah.
And that's something good. But many times they need to talk to a lawyer, and Saturdays is a day that they're free. And I work Saturdays. I try to accommodate. And Sundays, I've been known once or twice to going on Sunday to have a conference with the client. But Sundays I try to keep Sundays out. So yes, Saturdays.
Gotta stop, right? There's got to be one day. Sometimes.
Many people have told me you cannot work Sundays. So I do agree.
It's good.
Yeah.
Well, Larry, I really want to thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know, like you said, you try to get out of work by about 6:30, yeah. And I know you stayed a little late so that we could do this, and I do appreciate that because I know you live far from Elizabeth. So,
Jonathan, it's all relative as to the farness. And Jonathan, I want to thank you so very much. I find it being an honor to be on here, to be talking to you, and just to give you a snippet of what I do in my profession. So, I thank you.
That's great. Well, once again, I just want to thank you. I want to thank all the people that are watching, and there's hundreds of them that are watching and paying attention to this, and this is great. Hopefully, like I said, just a reminder, we're looking for a commercial realtor, a surveyor, and an architect. And we need to find those people. And I know you know somebody, so please. So stick around because next Tuesday, I have another surprise for you. You'll hear about it. So Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you next Tuesday.